Waiting a while to hear that music. Holding on. How are you, old friend?
Tommy, not bad. I got a question for you real quick.
Okay.
Have you been watching this Alien Earth? You know I'm big into things like that.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
You've not been?
No.
Oh, really? It is on Hulu. It's been a series where Alien, like Sigourney Weaver, the old school aliens, Alien 2, Alien Romulus.
Yeah,
Alien makes his way to Earth, and get this, Tommy.
Yeah.
A hybrid, which is a half human, half robot, starts to be able to communicate and manipulate one of the aliens and almost becomes its leader. Let me just tell you something. It is phenomenal that there are human beings that think of things like this, because I'm two words, Tommy. I'm all in. I'm all in.
I'm worried. I think it could be true. I think it could be a true story. Hey, well, I'll talk about Caleb Williams later, but I think we got a show to do here, right? Okay.
I think we do.
Yeah, all right. We'll talk about it. This is the TnZ Podcast, the part of any healthy podcast diet. I'm glad you're with us today. Oh, no. Yeah, that is very, is that some of the merch from the show? You getting merch from the show?
Yeah, it's actually called, Tommy, it's called a xenomorph. It's called a xenomorph right there. Take a look at it.
Boy, that's frightening. That whole concept is frightening, and I think it's real.
It is. It truly is. I'd like to hunt one of those things.
Yeah. Well, it is fall. It is hunting time, and we're going to talk about some fall fishing because we just finished a big fall fishing outing on noted Lake Champlain. It was incredible. Part of this really Wild West shootout known as the Nitro Boats EQs, the elite qualifiers. And it was won, ironically, by a guy who was not trying to qualify for the elites. Maybe that's a key to victory.
I think so. Actually, Tommy, since really throughout the opens, I made the comment, Emil Wagner, that's my guy, man.
Yeah.
Besides the surprise guest, first guest ever that we've ever had on the TnZ show today, another one of our guys. But the interesting thing about that Champlain tournament, it was one of those events, and we've had many of these throughout the history of covering tournaments, where you could have a really good event and you are sent packing.
Oh, gosh,
go on home, boy.
Absolutely.
So we'll break that down a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We can elaborate on that. They caught the crap out of them. I'll just lay it out there in a kind of a crude way. Also, something that happened a couple of weeks ago. You were down here in the studio flipping a coin. And as you said, this is hazardous here, because one mess up with that and all the hobgoblins of negativity would have the pitchforks out chasing us to hell. Luckily, that didn't happen. It could have, as you said, could have turned out way worse. But what we did was we qualified all the tournaments on the schedule for next year as either forward-facing sonar, live sonar tournaments, or not having that technology available. We're going to kind of go back and do a post-mortem on that. I think that would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, we call it the coin of justice. It's where truth was met for next year's schedule. And Tommy, here's the best part of it. Yeah. Those hobgoblins still came out.
Oh, yeah. That didn't stop them. They're just right outside the old booby hatch out here. Big guest, not a secret. Somebody who pulled off something we have not seen in the Bassmasters, a big thing. We've not seen it in a long time. Introduce the man I'm talking about here.
Our friend, Chris Johnston, back-to-back Angler of the Year titles. And the great thing is we're going to have him a little bit later in the show. And here's the best way to put it, Tommy. I've told you this before. I'm a shallow human being. I like 3 or 4 things in the world. Chris Johnston, right there. He's actually working on his compound bow as he's listening to us backstage right now. Okay. Chris likes about 3 things in the world: hockey, hunting, and fishing, and that about wrap it up right there. Excited to actually talk to Chris because I was on vacation last week with Mike McInnes, and I thought about some things. We've covered him now for a solid decade. And he has a style of fishing that I want to talk to him about today. I've been able to be in the boat with Chris several different times, and I kind of just want to break his style down today.
All right, I think you're going to lay down the definitive Angler of the Year interview there, so I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be cool, you know, in this world full of strife and trouble and striving and things that upset us, like aliens, you know, controlling robots. There is a happy place you can always find, a happy place. I like to think of it the happy place that's the world of Strike King, and I think you're going to take us there right now.
Well, Tommy, I am, and there's going to be some positives and there's going to be some negatives, and I'm going to start with the negative.
Okay.
We give a single viewer, every single time we give them whatever we talk about and then some, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, I messaged a viewer that got the Caleb Williams passing yards correct. He has not messaged me back, so get ready. We're gonna I'm gonna give him until I pick a winner for this podcast. If he does not get with me by then, check your Instagram messages.
Okay.
Not gonna say your name. I'm not gonna make it that easy. Let's just put it this way. If he does not, it's going to be a twofer. I'm either going to send you, Tommy, his prize pack, or I'm going to bundle it up and do a double prize pack. But here's what we're going to talk about. This time of year, Tommy Sanders, it is when fish really start to key on bait fish, right?
Yeah.
They start to feed up. And here's what we're going to talk about right here. You ready?
Oh,
Strike King Sexy Dog. An old staple, walking the dog. And the great thing about this is the hard knock, okay? This is the hard knock right here. This time of year, it does not matter if you're on Wheeler, Champlain, Mille Lacs, a Strike King Sexy Dog hard knock. If they've got good aim, an old staple, an old standby. One of you are going to win this. And here's what we're going to do, Tommy. Okay. You got to go to my Instagram page when this gets posted today. Cannot be any more simple than this. Just give me this week who is going to pass for the most yards this week in the NFL.
Okay. Simple enough. Easy.
Simple enough.
Easy.
Give me your pick right now, Tommy.
I can't give you that, but I will talk about, you know, when you threw out the Caleb Williams question last time, how much is he going to pass for in the first game? I said 200 yards, and you were down falling. Yeah, you were crestfallen, but I was right on the money. But all has been made well in that world right now, and I'm going to say Caleb Williams may pass for the most yards this week in the NFL. How about that?
I don't like you. I love you, Tommy Sanders. Let me just put it this way.
Yeah.
It was a good afternoon in the Zona house, if you know what I mean, against the Cowboys.
I could sort of imagine the audio in my ears, but that's
no, not for this show.
Yeah. Okay, maybe Soldier Field. Maybe we could be more apt for Soldier Field. Strike King, happy place. Thank you for that, Z, and we are ready to launch into it. Some fall fishing EQ #1. This 3-event thing that has the top 50 from each of the 2 opens divisions, plus any elite anglers that want to throw in and get some of that, as you would say, hot apple pie. And that's a heady combination. They caught them at that tournament. I'll just say that. They caught the heck out of it.
Here's what's funny about that, Tommy Sanders. We've talked about this. They catch them every single time. I'm talking whether it's forward-facing sonar, non-forward-facing. The lake always shows up. Granted, there's better times a year than others. This is the time of year. If you're watching the TnZ podcast and you want to go catch a pile of 3 to 4 pound fish, largemouth or smallmouth, that is the place to go. And interesting, I got to talk to my guy, Emil Wagner, yesterday, and I said, I got a question for you. And I'm kind of fast forwarding to what we're going to talk about after the next break. I said, obviously, you were catching a lot of suspended fish. Next year, forward-facing sonar will not be allowed in that tournament. Yeah. And when we did the Coin of Justice live show, I made the comment, one of the things that I'm very interested in, this lake in particular, now that we know that these fish live offshore, suspend over 40, 60, 70 feet of water, I said, Emil, is this something you feel in your head? Maybe a Koya Fujita. Is this something you feel you can go out now and do blind? without your technology. And he said, let me put it this way, and I don't want to dive very deep into this. I do think I can. And one of the biggest things with forward-facing sonar, you want to keep your bait above the bass. You make your cast, you want to keep your bait, you want it to hover above that fish. I think you are going to see at some point in the next year, 2 years, guys that are now mastering suspended fish over deep water, bait fish eaters. Now, here's the one thing that Emil said. Do I think that I can go out and catch 69, 70 pounds? No. But I think I can 4-pound you to death. And when he said that, that is what I'm intrigued about next year. The other thing is, and we talked about this, this was one of those tournaments that's very demoralizing for the simple fact there was a lot of anglers that we were really looking at to excel and possibly, obviously, just get off to the right stepping stone for, qualifying for next year's Elite Series. And there was a lot of footballs that got fumbled, friendo.
Absolutely. It was, the fact that they caught them so much, it was so tight. I mean, you could catch, and you mentioned this, you could average 20 pounds a day and find yourself in 39th place, almost 40th place. Yes. I mean, how do you deal with that? That was a unique spot. Champlain was at its best there. They were fed up. I mean, I'm not fed. The anglers weren't. The fish were fed up, and man, it was a monster thing to do. And yeah, you could get left way back in the dust after 2 great days of fishing.
Yes, and a lot of the guys that you would think that would do good in this tournament did. Some of them didn't, but the one connection, and as we were up in British Columbia last week, goofing around with McInnes and fishing, I was really watching the standings for this, and the one connection, and Tommy, it's something that we've talked about at length on Bassmaster Live through the years. I'm going to throw a couple old school names out.
Okay,
Georgia names: Mark Harden, Tom Mann Jr. There is, and there always has been, when smallmouth anglers go south, they excel on spotted bass fisheries. There is a distinct connection between Georgia anglers that have grown up fishing for spotted bass. When they come north, they're very, very at home. The way we've talked about this, a smallmouth acts so much like a spotted bass. You look at names like Emil Wagner. You look at names like Paul Marks. I think he was in 4th or 5th place in this tournament.
Third place.
Third place. Yeah. There is a connection. There is a connection of Georgia anglers, spotted bass, quality spotted bass anglers that are able to come north and immediately gravitate to a victory.
Look at the top 5 in the tournament. 3 of the top 5. Cody Stahl, also from Georgia. 3 of the top 5 were from Georgia. I mean, that's not I was just probable.
Paying attention to the guys that I know.
Yeah, that's right. I can tell you, Cody Stahl's pretty strong too. He won an open last year, a tough open up on the Upper Mississippi. So yeah, I mean, and 69-2, Emil Wagner set the record for 3 days of fishing for the Bassmasters there on Champlain, yes. and throwing back small keepers early on. He was that confident about what is it. Do you like that tactic? You think that's a good thing to be doing out there? Some people won't.
I mean, look, these guys know it, man. You've got to it. And he was there, obviously, to win this tournament. You could watch that when you look through some of the footage on Bassmaster.com. He was there to win that event. And hats off. I think he won for obviously only there to win the event, wins like $58,000. And also made the comment he was on some areas that just had such an incredible amount of 4-pound class. And granted, a 4.5 pound, when you get to a 4.5 pound weight, average weight on Lake Champlain, you have definitely done something. And to see what he and now I'm going to talk about a little bit of the negative of this tournament. Okay. You look at some of the names that you expected to do well in this event that are trying to qualify, for next year's Elite Series. A gray buck in Aaron Jagfeld. Tommy, I brought his name up on this podcast.
Yes, you have.
Garrett Paquette trying to fight his way back in. Russ Lane the Big Daddy. Whoa, hey, it's not time. It is not time for that guy.
Okay.
It's not. Get out of here, boy.
Okay.
Grab some wood, boy.
No, wait a minute.
And then you look at guys that are not getting it done in that tournament. A Laker Howell.
Right.
Stephen Browning, Mark Menendez, and one that highly surprised me, Adam Rasmussen, he's my guy, took second place in the Bassmaster Classic a few years ago, having a rough start to his EQ
absolutely.
series.
And some of that field was made up of EQ anglers who are relegated starting next year. They were trying to fish. They were fishing to make the top 10, and they did not do that great. I think Tim Doobie, 38th place, Ed Loughran, 49th place, Alex Wetherell, 59th, Mueller, 62, Pipkin, 63, and Mark Menendez, 65. But here's the other side, the flip side of this. That was a unique place. That was Champlain. Everybody caught them like crazy. The next places we're going, I mean, they have the potential to turn the scoreboard upside down, don't they? I mean, Wheeler and Okeechobee both, right?
Yeah, well, I think I really, really like that tournament on Wheeler. That's going to be a potential of an old school fall event. I like that. You look at, I looked at in the top 10 of this tournament on Champlain. All right, who knows who's got the chops when we go to Wheeler? Yeah. To know it's going to be grimy. You look at a guy like Russ Lane, right? You look at a guy like that, and then a potential heavyweight event to wrap it up in Florida. And the great thing, Tommy, we kind of glossed over this. Somewhere, John Cruz, if he watches this podcast, our friend John Cruz, boy, if there's a guy that owes Emil Wagner a steak, that owes him a prime rib in a Wagyu in Angus prime rib, it is John Cruz.
Yep, absolutely. He was the first man standing outside the hatch. The hatch opens up, and he comes in when Emil Wagner, already qualified for the Classic, double qualifies. So that,
hanging all alone with his dog, watching a weigh-in.
Oh, it could have been so bad. It could have been such brutal footage, but turned out so great.
Yes. And if you really think about it, I thought about this. If John Cruz, I made the comment, he owes him a steak right now. If John Cruz actually goes on to win that Bassmaster Classic, boy, he owes Emil Wagner a lot more than a prime rib, friend.
Yeah. Well, the next two EQs, we just mentioned them there. They're going to be a handful. And some of these guys who are way down there, I mean, you could be so far down, it's really going to be, you're going to have to finish top 3 or 4 or 5 in both of them to make your way into that final top 10. But I mean, Wheeler, understand, it's tough on the Tennessee River in fall, right? I mean, it's a handful.
It still should be that time of year, man. That is when they start getting after it and feeding. I think the interesting thing about Wheeler, and especially going into Lake Okeechobee, for the most part, your top 20 anglers, they're forward-facing sonar masters. There's a lot of very young anglers in that top 20. You made the comment that this could really flip-flop. Well, if there's 2 lakes that could even out the field and make it flip-flop, you're looking at Wheeler and then the Lake Okeechobee. So here's the best way to put it. For the gauntlet that these anglers have gone through in the opens, and then what they're going to have to go through in these next 2 tournaments, Champlain behind us, here's what you can say. They have earned their way into the Bassmaster Elite Series.
Absolutely so. Well, we always wonder, who's in, who's out. Elite anglers who are at risk, who's in there trying to qualify. There's that list again. Mark Menendez heads that list, including Milliken, Mueller, Frazier, Pipkin, Schultz, Loughran. Some of them, less than half of them, though, actually went to Champlain, which has kind of surprised me a little bit.
Little bit.
And as far as the EQs go right now, well, there you go. We take out those guys who were not trying to get into the EQs, and there's your top 10 right there. If this was the only tournament to decide that top 10 for the year, those would be the ones advancing on into the Elite Series for next year. And let's take a look at one more list, and this is a list I just talked to you about right there. That's the elite anglers trying to avoid relegation by requalifying in that top 10, and you can see they got a mountain to climb there. But as we know, it's going to be a different landscape, these next two events. This is a wild concept. I think it was designed to be a little wild and crazy, and it's certainly turned out that way. Yeah.
No, but I'll be honest, man. I do like the concept because it is going to be, it's going to be a dogfight the next two tournaments. And I guess the surprising thing is looking at that list. Boy, there's some anglers that. And they should have caught them. They should have caught them at Champlain. Very surprised, man. You look at guys like Mark Menendez. We were just looking at Paul Mueller across the board. I guess it's stunning to me. A Chad Pipkins, Ed Loughran, who won on Champlain. Very surprising at some of the performances that we got to see. And hey, we'll talk to Chris Johnston to see if he's still salty that Ed Loughran beat him on Champlain a year or two ago.
Well, all right. We will anxiously await the upcoming news from the next two final stops there on the EQ qualifying. And right now, let's go back to that happy place I was talking about. It may be stressful for some of those guys trying to fight, but when we get to the Strike King world, it's all good news, right?
It is, and I love always the ominous music that we have for the striking piece right here.
I don't know.
Listen, like I said, this time of year, Tommy, where are the bass feeding? The bass are feeding up, okay? The bass are feeding up. An oldie but a goodie, the Strike King Wake Shad. And the great thing about this bait was discontinued several years ago, and there are many, many anglers that know this Wake Shad this time of year, and also in late April before they start to lock on and spawn, is a weapon of destruction, because here's the great thing about this. You can absolutely burn this bait, kill it, and it won't blow out of the water. If you want to catch them this time, if you want to just catch them all year, Strike King Wake Shad. And if you want this exact bait, tell me who the passing leader is for the week. Strike King Wake Shad.
Straightforward. Very nice. Okay. If you want that, you know what to do. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, now we teased this earlier, and we're very proud of this fact. We got a special guy, I think the first time. How about the first guest we've ever had on the show? Woo. How about that? Yes. And I think we should be proud of it because he is, if anyone is worthy, he is worthy. Chris Johnston has done something we haven't seen in the Bassmasters for a long time.
Let's watch this real quick, Tommy.
Oh, wait a
Ready?
minute. Yeah, okay.
Take a look at this.
Here's our 2025 Bassmaster Angler of the Year.
Listen in.
Jingle bell time is a swell time to go gliding in a one-horse sleigh.
Just let it run for a second. Feel it. Hats off to the Bass Pro Shop social media team.
Time is a swell time to go gliding in a one-horse sleigh.
Yeah. Lauren Garza, Tommy, social media director, or no, actually marketing director, but the social media team sent me, and actually Corey was the one that videoed Chris right there, and I was there to witness it, and he's not good at singing. He's absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely.
Chris Johnston.
Yeah. Congratulations, first on the singing ability, Chris, and second on becoming only the fourth angler in history to go back-to-back with the Progressive Bassmaster Angler of the Year titles. Chris, thanks for making some time for us today.
No problem. I can't even take you guys seriously right now after playing that, though.
No one ever can. No one ever will.
It's not a very. It's right. It's not a very serious podcast. Chris,
I would dig one up on you, Zona, but unfortunately, you have the voice of an angel. I would love to get your video out there, but it's too good. I can't even put it out to the public.
I'm not gonna lie. I did stick to the landing when I did it. So Chris, real quick, and we've been able to cover you now for several different years. Here's what I want to. When you came to the Elite Series from FLW, obviously we knew that you and your brother, smallmouth hammers. What were your goals when you got to the Bassmaster Elite Series?
I wanted to walk across. The first goal was to walk across the Bassmaster Classic stage. Like first year, the first goal before I cast a line in the first tournament, I want to be in contention to win or have a chance to qualify for the Bassmaster Classic. And then the second one is I want a chance at the AOY. It's always been a goal, even from day one fishing FLW. I always want to be in the hunt to have a chance going in the final couple events to have a chance at that Angler of the Year title.
What? All right. You have been the dream crusher to Trey McKinney the last 2 seasons. You have been the dream crusher to Trey McKinney. I might have got bad info on this. I feel like I've heard that you've grown close with Trey. You guys kind of hang out a little bit. Do you feel bad at what you've done to Trey's first 2 years, or do you feel like he's making baby steps to an Angler of the Year?
I really don't feel bad at all, because he's 19. Is he even legally allowed to drink yet? Like, he's going to win lots of titles. There is no doubt about it. Every chance I get at one of these titles, I got to try and capitalize on it, because I don't know how many more chances I'll ever get at this. But Trey's a great angler, and he's probably not even in his prime yet. So he's going to have lots of chances to win this title, and I'm sure he'll win more than me down the road. So I'm going to take him as I can get him. Do I feel bad? No.
What was the most dangerous tournament this season? Looking back now, you get to reflect. What tournament were you like, ooh, I really won Angler of the Year there because things could have gone wrong? Ooh.
Honestly, probably the St. John's River. Had a decent game plan going into it. Had a bunch of bedded fish. That's all I usually do there. Find bedded fish the last 2 days of practice. A lot of my bedded fish were gone. I lost 2. I think you guys had a camera on me and did not have a good day. The second day, same sort of game plan, caught some fry garters, a couple bedders, needed a big fish to get me back in the hunt. And in the last, 10 minutes of fishing, I was driving back and I pulled into a canal close to takeoff, threw a wacky rig on a seawall, and I caught an 8.5 pounder. If I didn't catch that 8.5 pounder, I don't win Angler of the Year right there. That probably moved me up 30, 40 positions that tournament. And I caught it in the last one. I put it in the live well, made 2 casts, and I went back to check in.
The only time I've ever seen you spun out was day 1 of the St. Lawrence River last season. Except for this year, it seemed like your stress level was ratcheted up the entire lacrosse event.
That lacrosse event, I didn't have a good practice. I had 2 or 3 little mats where I had fish, but if I didn't get a bite in those little areas, I couldn't just go fishing and get the odd bite. The only place I could do that I found was in the Goose Pond area. I could do that, but I felt like I was going to get 8 to 11 pounds, 12 on a good day, and I didn't want to do that. So I was fishing where I knew there were some big fish, but if I didn't get bit in my little areas, I couldn't just go fishing. So I was stressed, especially that last day, because I knew just going to fish new water, it wasn't going to happen for me. So I can't take you seriously, Z. You're making some weird faces right now.
Why?
When you were on that stage there,
you gotta itch your nose or something.
did you think
I was breathing it in? Do
you think you had won when you stepped on the stage there? Before Trey weighed his fish, did you think you had lost it?
All day I thought, you know what, I'm gonna blow it. Like, I'm not gonna catch a limit on the final day of the year. If I don't catch a limit, I blow the whole year. And I was stressing. I'm like, I just need to fish areas where I know there's some fish. I caught that 3-pounder with an hour left, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I have a chance. At least he's got to catch some fish. I figured I had 12 pounds in my well. But when I'm fishing out in the background, I can see McKinney fishing, and I know he hasn't left one area all day. So I'm like, he is obviously catching them. I got to get a decent bag, but I know I got a 2.5-pound lead. So anyways, I go back to check in, and I think you guys mentioned it. I go to the dock, and my dad's like, good try. McKinney's got like 17 pounds. I'm like, that sucks. Way to kick me when I was down. Literally, as I'm idling to check in, I caught that 2-pounder, 2.25 on the seawall, and I was doing math in my head, and I was like, you know what? I might have 13 pounds in my live well. So I'm like, he needs 15.5. That would be a pretty good weight for him. I'm like, I got a chance. And then I get to the dock a minute later, and he's like, good try, you don't got it. So when I weighed, long story short, when I weighed my fish, I thought there was a pretty good chance. When I was on stage, I think I weighed 13.5 pounds. I'm like, he's going to have to catch them really good. I kind of thought I had it won at that point.
So
go ahead,
Chris, quick question for you. Who do you look at? Not whether it's now or decades ago, who do you look at? Because I want to talk to you about, after your answer, I want to talk to you about something. Who do you look at as, man, their style fishing is something I look up to?
Growing up, it was like a Hackney style, flipping, punching, heavy cover. That's how I grew up fishing, and that's how I looked up to, like, my dad doing it growing up in tournaments. Some of our local Canadians, I don't know if you know, like Azumi and those guys, I used to look up to those guys. And when I would get in tournaments when I was 11, 12 years old, I used to look up to trying to beat them. I didn't fish in the States, obviously, but I saw guys on TV that were shallow, Denny Brower, Greg Hackney. I looked up to those styles fishing, heavy line, heavy weights. That's what I like to do growing up.
And here's why I say that. And Tommy, get ready for this, because Tommy, give me a little feedback on this. Is Kevin Van Dam, who came from Michigan, his style fishing is very not Northern-like. No, understanding how to throw a plug on the Tennessee River, blah, 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 et cetera, stuff like that.
All that.
Of all of the footage that we have seen of you in the last 10 years, and Tommy, correct me if I'm wrong, have we ever seen Chris Johnston ever catch a bass on a hard bait, a frog not included? Have we ever seen Chris Johnston catch a fish on a crankbait? Have we ever seen a lipless ever? Chris, can you name one?
Can't.
I've caught a lot on a jerkbait due to live scope. But other than that, that doesn't count. Like squarebilling in Knoxville, that's how I caught some. But I will admit my weakest part of my game, I think, especially, is deep cranking. I do not think I'm good at deep cranking. When I go out there, like a football jig, I'll
Oh no! Oh no!
That's right there, Mike. He's locked up tighter. Look at that, Tommy.
That is such a nasty looking thing.
It is.
The tiny body is what really disturbing.
I know. Tommy, let me give it to you real quick. You ready?
Yeah.
Jingle bell time is sweat.
Mistletoe.
basically, I don't throw a crankbait unless I have to.
Okay.
There it is.
Well, okay, folks, we're back. We had just a little technical glitch there. And Chris, let me ask you something real quick. Did you ever think that someone could show up to start an elite season, look out at all his competitors and say, hey, listen, guys, I'm going to not make a 10 cut all year long, and I'm still going to win Progressive Angler of the Year? That's kind of a point of pride, isn't it?
No. I did not think it was even possible. And to be honest, I don't even feel like I had the best year, because all year I was not in contention to win a tournament. And then all of a sudden at the end of the year, they're like, yeah, you got a chance to win AOY. It didn't feel like a stellar year. It was just consistent. I was cashing checks, trying to pay the bills. Apparently I missed paying a bill because my internet just cut out. But no, I was just plugging along, kept my head down.
Fast forwarding, looking at next year, looking at the way the schedule sets up, what the coin of justice has done with technology and forward-facing sonar or non, do you look at a three-peat?
When I start thinking about fishing, which is not yet, I got other things on my mind right now. It'll be on my mind. Do I think it's possible? Yes. Will it be super hard to do? For sure. But I like my odds of 50-50. I think it increases my chances of being more consistent throughout the year. But I think you're going to see some guys excel. I think there's going to be some of those scopers that everyone says can't catch them anyway. I think you're going to see them keep doing well. There's a handful of those guys. You're going to see some of the Patrick Walters, Kyle Welchers, those guys that can do both, like Cook, that can catch them with scope, without. I think you're going to see those guys rise in the standings more consistently.
Chris, I called you a shallow person at the beginning of this TnZ podcast, and that's actually a compliment. I said you're big into hockey, fishing, and hunting. What else does Chris do?
Look after kids. Spend time with kids. If it's not that, I take my kids to hockey or hunting or fishing. That's it. I'm a pretty basic guy, Z.
Why doesn't Corey win Angler of the Year titles? And do you, like during Thanksgiving at Lynn's house, when you guys are all gathered around, it's a holiday and you're singing your songs, do you ever rub it into Corey?
Oh, every chance I get. And that's the good thing. Even all our buddies, we have a group chat of 20 people that all like fishing and stuff. They give him a dig every chance he gets because he'd dish it out. So he's got big shoulders. He can take it. We remind him regularly. He had his chance to win AOY, I think, in 2019 when his trolling motor was falling over his boat. He couldn't tell time. He was late for weigh-in. So he really shot himself in the foot that tournament. But he'll probably win an AOY, but I think you'll see Corey shoot for the fence more than I will. He'll go swing for the fence, make a long run, gamble, and you might see him throw up an 80th or 90th place finish, which will shoot him in the foot for the Angler of the Year. But I'm sure one of these years he will win it.
If you can explain to Tommy and myself, we've talked about it so much on Bassmaster Live with you and your brother. There are so many anglers. I'm not saying brothers, but there's so many anglers that have tried to make working together work. And inevitably, it always constantly fails. Why does it, dude, it has worked for a long time with you two.
Yeah, it's worked since we've been 11 years old, to be honest. My dad had his fishing team tournaments. When Corey could drive, he'd drag me to the tournaments with him. And we did it as a team. My dad set up a business for us, and it has worked ever since. Will it continue to work? Maybe, maybe not. I might get sick of him one day, or he might get sick of me, and we'll have a blow up, and that'll be the end of it. But for right now, it's still working. But in the fishing aspect of it, I don't know, people are like, oh, we work together, but everyone in the elites has a buddy that they talk to and bounce ideas off of. And we do the same, but we trust each other 100%. And I know he's going to tell me if he found fish in whatever, Bear Creek. He'll be like, I found him in here throwing a vibrating jig in this area. Don't go fishing. I'll be like, okay. But if you can find something duplicated elsewhere. And the big thing is, I've heard you mention it, but we try not to cannibalize each other. I will not go fish the area that he's fishing unless certain circumstances like a Lake St. Clair or something, you can get away with it the odd time, but you can't fish each other's fish. Otherwise, neither of you will end up doing well.
Do you see ever now I'm just thinking outside of the box here, Chris, and that's what we do on TnZ. You ever see like maybe working with a quad, like you, Corey, Trey McKinney, and the Mongrel? You see guys working as a four?
No, that would never work. I would not be completely honest. I'll tell you right up front, I wouldn't be completely honest. So not a chance. But it just helps us, I don't know, bounce ideas off each other and break down a lake quicker. That's basically what it comes down to. If the fish are bedding in one end of the lake, it gives you a little quicker insight to that and just helps me and him break a lake down quicker. Sometimes we run into each other a lot because we fish the same style. Like for example, on St. John's Palatka, I'm going to go sight fish every chance I can. So is he. And there's only 10 spots that you can sight fish. So we run into each other a lot of times and it hurts us there. But for the most part, we try and stay away from each other.
Chris Johnston, man, thank you so much. Once again, congrats on the back-to-backs and congratulations on 7 years of just amazing stuff, averaging, and I looked this up, I did the math, averaging less than 1.3 cuts missed a year. Nobody does that. Wow. That's why you're in that position right there. So keep it up. We'll keep watching, man. And if you ever want to move to America and be the first guy to ever win from two countries, come on over. We're the action team. We welcome you over here to America.
Hey, I might take you up on that one day. Don't joke. But in the meantime, if I ever come back on a podcast with you boys, I'm going to have to find some dirt. All right. I'm going to be digging for the next little while. I don't know if you guys dancing or something, but I'm going to bring something.
It's out there. We'll have you back soon, I hope. The first guest we've ever had on the TnZ show, Chris Johnston. What a great time that was. And man, Dad, that was great. And despite that crummy Canadian internet, we managed to get something done.
Oh, yeah. And the best part is, Tommy, our first guest, we absolutely, again, thanks to the Bass Pro Shop social media team, Lauren Garza, we humanize humiliate our first guest right as we get him.
Would you have expected? What else would you have expected? What else?
Sure, why not?
Well, humiliation, stress, winning, exceeding, it's all stressful. But back to that happy place again, the Strike King happy place.
Go.
And we're still on shad, right? We're going to, okay, I hold off. We're going to do that in a little bit. We're going to look at that coin flip incident we had out here a couple of weeks ago, right here on this table. You flipping the coins, and we decided by the coin flip how each tournament was going to be done, with forward-facing live sonar or without, and that's the way it turned out. Without it, of course, with the yellow dash through there. As you look back on there, and you've talked to people, I'm sure, since that, Z, I mean, has anything really got people scratching their heads, or do they think it turned out kind of for the best for both sides of that issue?
Well, I guess one of the and I actually got to talk to Chris about this and a lot of other anglers in the last couple of weeks since we did the Coin of Justice. And look, the 2025 season, we've talked about this. It was one of the most diverse seasons in the last 10 years as far as how guys caught them. Offshore, shallow water fishing. Well, this guarantees there is going to be diversity, and there will be something for every angler. There will be something for every viewer that wants to love, every viewer that wants to be a xenomorph and hate. I really think the first tournament is going to be a special event, man. You go to Lake Guntersville that early. There's always been a template how to catch them that time of year. I think that's the tournament, at least for myself, and all the way down to Champlain. You look at Guntersville and you look at Champlain, and to me, those tournaments stick out the most of how they'll be won. I'll rewind to the top of this podcast. I want to see if an Emil Wagner, a Chris Johnston, or a Koya Fujita can go to Champlain and maybe crack that code, not using that screen and using their knowledge that they've learned from that screen, catching the ghost fish, catching the suspended fish. One other thing on that schedule, I'm going to call Chris Johnston out again. He actually made the comment on the St. Lawrence River tournament, Tommy, that forward-facing sonar is going to be allowed. He said, those boys are really lucky that they're allowing forward facing in that tournament because they'd have been behind the 8 ball. And here's what my reply was. My reply was, dude, they're always behind the 8 ball against you and your brother on the St. Lawrence River.
Right. They got bigger things to worry about. Much bigger things to worry. Those two guys is what they got to worry about. Well, good. One. Give me your thought on Santee Cooper. I'll just pick out one and see what you think about that.
I got to talk to Davey a lot about that. We talked to him in studio, and he made the comment that, look, it's that tournament in particular is still going to tell. Every time you go to Santee, it's going to take a bunch of weight because they're basically born at 5 to 6 pounds in that lake. Yeah. I think the interesting thing about that tournament, boy, you look at the Buddy Grosses of the world that, they start offshore, live offshore. The thing that Davey said the most is the lower lake. The lower lake always seems to kind of fizzle out. It always seems to fizzle out. And Davey made the comment that lower lake is going to be a much bigger factor this time around than we've seen in years past.
Who do you think benefits from the schedule overall the most? Is it like Chris Johnston said, the Kyle Welchers, who can do both, who can seemingly get it done either way? Is that who it benefits the most?
I do, especially looking at the bodies of water that we're going to. You look at a Kyle Welcher, a Patrick Walters, you look at a Jason Christie. I guarantee you Jason Christie is looking at least the majority, maybe not Lake Martin so much, but Jason Christie is looking at this schedule like, yeah, I can do some damage on that. But yeah, it's if you look at this schedule, it's It's a tactical schedule, but at the same time, there are going to be a lot of tournaments in there that are you're flying by the seat of your pants, and that's what a Kyle Welcher is. That dude loves to just wing it and go and fish naturally. So yeah, you obviously you would look at for sure a Kyle Welcher, even though we're going to get to our picks.
Right.
He was not my pick. He was very close to being my pick.
He was very close to being mine too. And we'll get to those picks, but now I jumped the gun on it earlier. Now it's time to get back into our happy place of Strike King world. We're still on the shad subject.
Go
right?
there.
Yeah.
Well, we are, Tommy. Again, feeding up. Okay. Strike King caffeine shad. And look, I'm doubling up. I talked about the Siren caffeine shad the last time they were on here. Big time smallmouth bait, big time herring chasing bait. But just all around this time of year, a Strike King caffeine shad, a weapon. And what separates this soft plastic jerkbait apart from others, Tommy, is it's got weight. It's got a lot of salt, so you can reach out. This time of year when fish start to school, fish start to bust on the surface, a Strike King caffeine shad, you can basically launch this thing. I'm not joking, 60 to 70 yards. So again, if you're going to take anything from the TnZ podcast, this time of year, going into October, going into Halloween, hunting season, Tommy Sanders, think of baits feeding up. A sexy dog, a wake shad, a caffeine shad. Have it in your arsenal. Just remember, this time of year, key on baits that the bass are looking up to. Strike King caffeine shad.
I look up to you, Z. That's one thing I remember too. So and so I am so anxious as we hear those heraldic trumpets sounding once again. It's time to make important picks for the 2026 season. Bear in mind that list we just had in our last little segment there of forward-facing, without forward-facing, the way that schedule lays out. Who do you see as being the winner of Progressive Bassmaster Angler of the Year?
Well, I went Patrick Walters, then I went Kyle Welcher, and then I backed off the throttle, Tommy.
Oh, okay.
And here's why I did that. Besides Emil Wagner, Easton Fothergill has turned into my guy. He has turned into my guy, and here's why I say that. After his horrifically sucky performance in Florida earlier this year, he's really been unstoppable, except for the tournament where you thought he was going to kill him in La Crosse, Wisconsin. If you look at his entire season, getting traction, getting momentum, obviously off of that classic victory right after that Florida swing. The other thing is, I know as we sit here, as other anglers start to hang their tree stands, as other anglers start to go duck hunting, go goose hunting, Easton Fothergill right now is studying. He is studying. He's doing his homework.
I bet you're
Easton
right.
Fothergill, you are my 2026 Elite Series Angler of the Year.
All right. That would be a classic
Tommy,
title
say you.
and an AOY. All right, my pick. I'm going to give you my pick right now. I'm just like an old guy who can't let go of what's gone out and what he's gotten close to before but never got before. I'm going to give you my pick for Progressive Bassmaster Angler of the Year. And I am picking, believe it or not, Jay Shakurit. Jay Shakurit,
wow,
who has come close so many times, came very close last year till the end of the season. Jay Shakurit had a 50 finish close to the end of the season, and that kind of sunk his hopes a little bit, but that was something you looked at him do. Jay with a 50-something finish, he does not do that very often. He's got that Chris Johnston sort of record building up here. Not quite there with Chris, but I think he's probably overdue for a Progressive Bassmaster Angler of the Year title.
Tommy, here's what's funny is I watch First Things First, where they do this thing called Mahomes Mountain, and Nick Wright actually put up Patrick Mahomes yesterday. I don't anymore. I used to put Patrick Mahomes. Do you feel like every year it seems that we pick Patrick Walters? Do you feel like Patrick Walters has turned into the Patrick Mahomes of fishing, where he's starting to slide a little?
That's an interesting point there. I don't know if 1 season and a half maybe is the length of that slide you're referring to right now. I don't know if 1.5 seasons in his projected probably 25 seasons of fishing the Elite Series is gonna make him or break him. I think that's something he can come back from. But yeah, good point. We have picked him. My goodness, both of us have picked him to win every year, and for good reason, because he's so good everywhere he goes.
And I hate to end the TnZ podcast, but listen, man, he is at that age. We have predicted Patrick Walters to win classics, to win Angler of the Year titles, yet to be done. So maybe the pressure that we've applied, the power, the momentum from this podcast, Tommy, will push Patrick Walters over the top. I think we were both really stupid for not picking Chris Johnston to win another Angler of the Year. That
stands out even more prominent. No, get him away from. Okay, that's it. That's it. I'm scared. Okay, I can't watch this anymore. This is a spectacle we can't do anymore. Thank you for watching the TnZ Show, part of anyone's healthy podcast diet. Well, mostly healthy anyway, except for that guy, that little character right there. Thank you. We will see you next time. Until then, happy trails.